So what happens when a US president uses the entire weight of their office to go after a single private company? I know it sounds like a hypothetical, but it's not. We're about to break down the incredible moment an executive order was used against a law firm, which set up this huge clash between the White House and, well, the rule of law itself.
And this really boils down to one fundamental question, right? Can the executive branch legally just single out one company for punishment? As you're about to see, this isn't just some debate you'd have in a law school class. This is a real story with absolutely huge implications for how power is supposed to work in this country.
It all kicked off on March 27, 2025. That was the day President Trump signed Executive Order 14-2050. The title was blunt, Addressing Risks from WilmerHale. And just like that, with one signature, a major constitutional battle was on.
Okay, so let's meet our two main players here. In one corner, you've got the White House, which is, the full power of the U.S. executive branch. And in the other corner, WilmerHale, a massive multinational law firm with over 1,000 lawyers and really deep roots in Washington, D.C. This was a true David and Goliath situation, playing out in the world of high-stakes law and presidential power.
So you have to be asking, why would the president take such a drastic step? To really get what's going on, you have to look at the official reasons the administration gave. What was the public justification for a move this, well, unprecedented?
The language in the order is something else. It's incredibly broad. It claims the firm is engaged in conduct detrimental to critical American interests. Now, a vague but powerful phrase like that is the perfect umbrella to justify pretty much anything that follows. It's effectively painting a private law firm as a threat to the entire nation, which gives the government a ton of leeway.
And then the order gets very, very specific. It lays out this whole list of grievances. The firm is accused of everything from partisan politics and racial discrimination to helping non-citizens vote. But then you see it, the mention of Robert Mueller. The order explicitly goes after the firm for rewarding Mueller for the, quote, weaponization of government. And that right there really signals what a key motivation was behind this whole thing.
Okay, so those were the reasons they gave. But what did the order actually do? What were the real-world, practical things this document ordered the government to carry out?
The order laid out three main directives, all designed to basically cripple the firm's ability to function, especially in D.C. First, it suspended all security clearances for every employee. For a major Washington firm that handles sensitive cases, that is a devastating blow. Second, it told federal agencies to start terminating their contracts with WilmerHale. And third, it literally banned the firm's employees from entering federal buildings. You put all that together, and it's a clear attempt to completely cut the firm off from the federal government.
Now, as you can probably guess, an action this aggressive did not go unanswered. The response was fast, and it came from the legal world itself.
The firm's response was incredibly swift. On March 28th, less than 24 hours after the ink was dry on the order, WilmerHale filed a lawsuit to block it. This wasn't just them playing defense. This was a direct challenge to the president's authority. And just like that, the fight moved out of the White House and into the courtroom.
And the details here are pretty fascinating. Get this, WilmerHale was represented by Paul Clement, who is a very well-known and respected conservative lawyer. So right away, that signals a really broad legal opposition. A judge moved just as fast, issuing a temporary restraining order, a TRO. Think of a TRO as a judge hitting a big pause button on a government action. But, and this is a really key detail, the TRO only stopped parts of the order. The part that suspended all the security clearances, that was allowed to continue, at least for the time being.
So that initial ruling was just a temporary fix. The real question, the big one, was how the courts would ultimately rule on whether the entire executive order was even constitutional.
The whole thing played out with incredible speed. I mean, look at this. The order is signed on March 27th, the lawsuit is filed the very next day, and it only took 2 months for the case to get a final decision. On May 27th, the whole legal fight came to a dramatic end.
And the final word from the court was decisive. U.S. District Judge Richard J. Leon struck down the entire executive order, flat out calling it unconstitutional. He said it was basically a bill of attainder, which is a fancy legal term for when the government points at a specific person or group and punishes them without a trial. The Constitution explicitly forbids that. The judge's ruling was a clear statement. You cannot use the power of the government to punish someone without due process. It was a moment where the law put a check on the power of the presidency.
So that brings us right back to where we started. This crazy 2-month battle gave us a pretty clear legal answer in this one specific case.
But it leaves us with a much bigger question to think about, doesn't it? What does this whole episode tell us about that constant tension between a president's power and the rule of law? And what are the lasting ripples when those two forces collide so head-on?